Order.
Draft Information Sharing Disclosure by the Registrar Regulations 2024.
I call the Minister to move the motion.
Thank you, Mr McDonald. It's a pleasure to see you in the chair this morning. I beg to move that the Draft Information Sharing Disclosure by the Registrar Regulations 2024, which were laid in draft before this House on the 22nd of May, be approved. So, good morning. These regulations are part of a programme of statutory instruments to implement reforms under the Economic Crime and Corporate Transparency Act 2023, which I will hereafter refer to as the 23 Act. The new government is committed to holding accountable those who abuse our open economy and enhance the UK's reputation as a hub for legitimate businesses. Our vision is to create a more transparent and accountable corporate environment that not only fights economic crime but also fosters trust and integrity within our financial systems. The 23 Act reforms the role of Companies House and increases transparency over UK companies. These reforms will create a more reliable companies register, instilling confidence in our business environment while safeguarding the rights and safety of individuals. The reforms, which it's only fair to acknowledge were begun under the previous government, will not only strengthen our business environment but will also support our national security, enhance our international standing and contribute to the UK's economic growth. As we know, the reforms are already underway. Stronger rules and checks introduced since March have already helped to cleanse the register and disrupt organised crime. Companies House is also undergoing a full organisational transformation to implement these changes. And as we embark on this journey, we recognise that while significant progress has been made, more remains to be done. The Government is committed to ensuring that the 23 Act not only meets but exceeds expectations, establishing a transparent and secure economic system that protects citizens and businesses from the harms of economic crime. A key priority for Companies House is increasing their intelligence capabilities and embedding themselves further into the law enforcement ecosystem. There has been significant progress in this area already. Companies House has introduced extensive legal gateways for data sharing with law enforcement, other government bodies and the private sector. This has led to a more efficient sharing of suspicious activity with law enforcement agencies. Additionally, feedback mechanisms have been established with other government bodies and businesses in the anti-money laundering regulated sector to enhance the quality of the information being shared. This is why we are here today, to move further on that and discuss the regulations which will amend the 2006 Companies Act to give the Registrar of Companies greater powers to share non-public information with enforcement agencies and other bodies for the performance of their functions. The 23 Act's amendments to the 2006 Companies Act also give the Secretary of State the power to make regulations that allow the Registrar to expand information sharing to specified persons for specific purposes. For instance, there may be circumstances where it would be beneficial for the Registrar to share information with certain office holders involved in administering insolvency proceedings. Such office holders will most often be insolvency practitioners, but may also be the official receiver or, in Scotland, the accountant in bankruptcy. And all the Registrar has the power under the Companies Act 2006 to share information with public authorities. The functions undertaken by office holders relate to private matters due to the nature of insolvency proceedings, and as such they involve also the identification and realisation of assets in insolvency proceedings. Therefore, the Registrar is not currently able to share information with such office holders for these purposes. And this can often go beyond the sale of property or personal belongings into applications to the court to reverse transactions which were made prior to the insolvency proceedings and which were not in the best interest of all of the creditors. The functions might even extend to asking the court to make directions of the company personally liable where they have allowed the company to continue to trade beyond the point at which insolvency was inevitable, causing further losses to creditors. For these kind of actions, the office holder could benefit from information which the Registrar's current powers do not allow her to share. These regulations will allow the Registrar to share relevant information with the office holder enabling them to perform their functions and provide the best returns for the creditors in the insolvency proceedings. So it is a fairly straightforward set of regulations. Mr McDonald, I'd like to emphasise that this is an important instrument in strengthening the information sharing network within the economic crime space. The regulations will enable Companies House to support government's efforts in fighting economic crime and also ensuring that creditors in insolvency proceedings are able to get the best use of tools available to them to ensure that there is the best return for the creditors. So I therefore commend the information sharing disclosure by the Registrar Regulations 2024.
The question is that the committee has considered the draft information sharing disclosure of the Registrar Regulations 2024. I call the Shadow Minister.
Thank you, Dame Siobhan. It's a pleasure to serve under your chairmanship. And may I congratulate the member for Ellesmere Port and Bromborough on his new ministerial responsibilities. It's my first chance to do that. There couldn't be a more important role to any government that seeks to drive the growth of the economy than the minister responsible for small businesses. So I wish him well in that. He will, and I hope he acts as a diligent voice for small businesses, including making representation to the member for Leeds West after her most recent budget. Small businesses across the country tell me they are bleeding out as a result of the jobs tax, the family business tax, and so many other measures. So it is with well that we wish him, but I hope he is diligent and is able to be an effective voice. Now we're here today to talk about the Economic Crime Corporate Transparency Act and the delegated legislation as a result of that. That builds on the work conducted by the previous government, by one of my excellent predecessors, the member for Thirsk and Malton. We will, Dame Siobhan, be a constructive opposition. When this government does the right thing, we will celebrate and support that. And it is in that context that today I can confirm that the opposition will be supporting this legislation.
Do I see anybody from the committee wanting to make a contribution? Would the Minister like to sum up?
Well, thank you, Mr. McDonald. Can I first of all thank the Shadow Secretary of State for his welcome, and I too welcome him. I think this is the first time we've appeared opposite each other. I will have to slightly correct him. I'm not actually the Minister for Small Business, but of course the points that he raises are important. There are a range of economic levers within my portfolio, and we take with interest all the matters that affect the economy, and of course, as an opposition, he will know it's incumbent on him to suggest what the alternative proposition would be. But we note the support for the regulations today. I think it's important that we have constructive dialogue on this area. We think this is a really important space that parties should be able to work together on, and I therefore beg to commend these regulations to the committee.
The question is that the committee has considered the draft information sharing disclosure of Registrar Regulations 2024. As many of our opinions say aye. Aye. To the contrary, no. I think the ayes have it, the ayes have it.